Tennessee Titans fans, we have a video here from the channel Football Analysis calling the Tennessee Titans one of the four most desperate NFL teams right now. This was just uploaded 2 hours ago as of this recording. And let's see why the Tennessee Titans are one of the four most desperate NFL teams.
And we are starting today's video with the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have started the year with back-to-back losses to the Bears and Jets, and both of those games ended with a score of 24-17, and I know the first thought you probably had with the Titans has been the insane Will Levis plays in each of the first 2 weeks, and we'll get to that, but there's a few problems with this team that need to be addressed. Now, the Titans were in an interesting situation this offseason because they had a quarterback show some flashes last year and had every reason to roll with Will Levis in 2024, especially considering the circumstances from 2023. They had no offensive line and he was hung out to dry. And while I credit the Titans for drafting J.C. Latham with a top 7 pick and even going out and signing center Lloyd Cushenberry in free agency, the right side of the line is still a major problem.
Facts. I'm just going to tell you right now, I cannot disagree with that through 2 weeks. Especially the guy in the photo right there, Nicholas Petit-Frere, gave up 9 pressures on Sunday against the Jets. I mean, you just can't do it. You can't do that and expect to win a football game.
And I know Rome wasn't
Dylan Radins was not great either at right
built in a day, but Nicholas Petit-Frere has not been playing well through 2 games, and he actually leads the league in pressures allowed through the first 2 weeks with 11, and that's
something to remember. I am not here to make excuses for Will Levis or to tell you that he has played well, because there's been a lot wrong with what he's done in the first 2 games, but it sure doesn't help that you have a guy on the offensive line giving up the most pressures of any offensive lineman in the NFL. That sure doesn't help the situation.
It's obviously concerning, but it's even more concerning when you realize he's only played 77 pass blocking snaps, which is 70th among all offensive linemen. He allowed a staggering 9 pressures against the Jets in week 2, and this is obviously a problem, but another reason why I worry about this is because of Will Levis. Will can make a lot of throws that other quarterbacks can't, and in some ways, not every way, but some ways he reminds me of a young Josh Allen in the sense of him being an athletic quarterback with—
Careful now. Careful now. They'll come after you for that one.
With a borderline reckless mindset to make a play at any and all costs. And Josh has certainly toned that part of his game down over the past few years, but just because Josh has does not mean that Will is automatically going to, and that he will become an elite player like Josh has. And I worry with how bad the right side of the offensive line has played, that Will continue to make those plays trying to give the Titans a chance to win. Now,
yeah, I mean, he's had what I would consider to be one reckless play in both games. So he had one against the Bears, which you just saw, which was the pick 6. And then he had one against the Jets, which was him trying to fly through the air and bowling ball a pass to a running back who was going to get tackled immediately anyway. And I think this guy is correct. It is a case of Will Levis just trying to keep a play alive. But you're not keeping a play alive because, you know, sometimes we hate to see our quarterback get sacked, but sometimes you just got to get sacked. I mean, especially when you have an offensive line like this that's struggling, and you know, certain guys in particular on that offensive line that are struggling. Listen, sometimes you're just going to have to eat the dirt, all right? Hopefully it doesn't happen a lot, but you're going to have to get sacked sometimes. Now, I will say there are sometimes that I still feel like Will Levis is holding on to the ball too long, but there are certainly cases. I mean, you can't argue with the numbers, and the numbers say that he has been the most pressured quarterback in the NFL through the first 2 weeks. You got a young guy who's trying to find his way, who's trying to get his footing. You can't have that. You can't have that.
Well, the positive for Levis and the Titans is those are easily correctable. I know everyone probably saw the clip of Brian Callahan on the sidelines after the play against the Jets say, quote, "What the F are you doing?" end quote. But I will reiterate that I love what the Titans did this offseason to bring in talent and to give their quarterback a chance. But what also needs to be remembered is I don't think this offense outside of a few players is good, and through 2 games, they've shown that. They're 24th in yards, and I know yards doesn't explain everything, but they're 26th in EPA per play, which is 1 spot above the Browns and 1 spot below the Bears.
I think, Will Levis is the one that gets talked about the most, and understandably so. But, I think we knew going in, Brian Callahan's a first-time head coach, first-time play caller. We knew there would be growing pains with that. I think we knew there would be issues with the offensive line early. I think we kind of expected issues on that right side where the issues are coming right now. I think we expected that because, the guys on the left side were high first-round draft picks. Guys on the right side were kind of just guys who were there who they had to put in. So I guess we kind of expected issues there. And with all of the new weapons, Tony Pollard's new, Calvin Ridley's new, Tyler Boyd's new, DeAndre Hopkins is hurt, trying to work his way back from an injury. But, there's a lot of growing pains that are going to happen. I think it is frustrating that it's happened the way it has, where it feels like, especially in week 1, the Titans just gave away a win. A game where they were up 17-0, where the Bears didn't even get 150 yards offense, didn't even score an offensive touchdown, and they still won. That's, you gave that away, And then against the Jets, it was there for the taking and you refused to take it, And so, yes, the numbers are not great right now, but, Calvin Ridley has been amazing for them. I think that Hopkins has not been as big of a factor because he just has working his way back from injury. Tyler Boyd's probably been a little disappointing to some people, but Tony Pollard's been good. The key is Will Levis still looks panicky, and he still looks reckless, and it all looks chaotic, and some of that's on him, and some of it's on his offensive line.
The problems with Will Levis can certainly be fixed, and obviously they've been magnified over the past few weeks, but it's not like this team is putting up 25 or 30 points per game either. Positively, I think Tony Pollard has played well through the first couple of games, and
I just want to note that this is not me trying to take the perspective off of Levis and the Titans offense and their struggles, because we know how frustrating it is. But NFL offenses as a whole are not looking great. Let's just say quarterback play in particular, outside of a few guys, is looking pretty subpar overall right now. We're seeing offenses struggling to score touchdowns. The Bengals and Chiefs last week, normally that would be a game that's high scoring, but this year it was, 25-22 or something, which is low for those two teams. I don't know. I know the Bills scored 31 on the Dolphins last Thursday, but all that to say, scoring's, the points aren't coming easy through these first 2 weeks. There's a lot of good defenses in the NFL, and I think that quarterback play is down because of instances where you have young guys coming in who are struggling to adapt. I think we're seeing that with Caleb Williams. We're seeing that with Bo Nix. We've seen that with Anthony Richardson. We've seen it with Will Levis. We've seen it with Bryce Young. Obviously, we know what's going on there. There's issues all across the board offensively in the NFL, scoring-wise and yards.
I think Calvin Ridley is a very underrated player and well worth the contract. I know I didn't mention the Titans defense, but I have very few concerns with that unit moving forward, as they are a very good defense. I just worry that if the Titans don't right the ship, things could get worse before they get better, and that has to start in week 3. To the Big Apple to discuss.
It certainly has to start in week 3, and I know it's up in the air who's going to play quarterback for the Packers. It was all but a given that it was going to be Malik Willis, but now Jordan Love has been out on the practice field the last couple days. Got people wondering if he might try to give it a go. Either way, though, This is as close to a must-win for the Titans. It's as close to a must-win as you can get in Week 3. I mean, nobody wants to fall to 0-3, but especially when you look at a couple of the games that Tennessee has coming up, coming back from their bye, they've got to go to Buffalo, they've got to go to Detroit. You've got tough games coming later. And when you consider the issues quarterback-wise with injuries in Green Bay, and then you go to Miami, these are probably games you need to pick up before you get to the Buffaloes and the Detroits, and they got to play Cincinnati at some point, who I think will get better. So it's as close to a must-win as you can get in a Week 3 football game for the Titans, especially when you consider you've got Houston in the division who's 2-0. I know the Jags and the Colts are both 0-2 as well, but the Houston Texans are 2-0. You don't want to get too far into the hole early. So we'll see. Big game on Sunday, and I don't disagree too much with what this guy had to say.